Hi, I'm Bernadette Smith, keynote speaker and writer. Welcome to 5 Things, where I bring good vibes to DEI. There's plenty of bad news out there. This show is about the good stuff, real progress, real stories, and ideas to help you make your work and life more inclusive. Your proof of positive change. Hey folks, it's Bernadette Smith, she, her, CEO of Equality Institute. Welcome to 5 Things Live, good vibes in DEI. The world needs proof of positive change. It is bleak. So I like to focus on the good stuff. Let's do more of what's working. And, last week I had a virtual session in which it was for a sales team, and they're really struggling with inclusive communication. They're having a hard time not accidentally offending each other. They're getting a little spicy and slack, and they really want to do better. They all do. They want to do better. And so in the beginning of the session, I always invite folks to share private messages to me in the chat so they can stay anonymous. If they want to contribute, if they have a question, I will read their comment anonymously to protect them. But it means that I get some juicy stuff. I get to hear things that they might not share if this was an actual in-person event. So one of the questions that I got, which I've actually gotten a lot of, is, how do I be more inclusive when my act of inclusion could offend someone else? So my answer for everyone is to do it anyway. Do the inclusive thing, be the inclusive person, human, anyway. Do not back down. Absolutely show up and do your inclusive thing. And if you get any pushback on it, make it bigger than you. Bring it back to your core values, something beyond just your action. Make it about, this is what I believe, make it bigger than you. And remember that you are probably not going to change someone's beliefs. You may be able to get them to change their behavior, but probably not going to get them to change their beliefs. So focus on behavior, not beliefs. And if you have to, set a boundary, and that boundary could look something like, all right, well, we're just not going to talk about this at work, or we're not going to talk about this at Thanksgiving. A boundary can look like a lot of different things, but you want to make sure you close the loop and move on by establishing a boundary. But the bottom line is, be inclusive anyway. The world needs you. The world needs me to keep showing up in an inclusive way. All right, well, let's get into this week's good vibes. The first story this week is about pickleball. I love pickleball. And now there is a group of students in India who are deaf or disabled who have gotten officially ranked in the DUPER rating system. It's a global pickleball rating system. These students now have DUPER ratings because the school that they go to has a coach who did adaptive drills and signs for coaching, which is so cool. And the kids were able to go on and get DUPER rated. Very, very awesome. And I love how it all starts at the beginning. It starts with the coach being intentionally inclusive and then sets everyone up for success. All right, the second story this week comes from Barbie, where there is a new Autistic Barbie, and it was developed over 18 months with the Autism Self-Advocacy Network. It's part of the new Fashionistas line, and the doll includes noise-reducing headphones, a fidget spinner, a tablet, which represents their augmented and alternative communication styles or needs. So this has received some pushback, a little bit of flack because maybe it's a little too stereotypical. But honestly, these types of things are what help people feel seen, represented. It's good for everyone. I know it's not, maybe not everyone's going to love it, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. Progress is always a good thing as far as I'm concerned. All right, so the next story this week comes from Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, who have a company called Artists Equity. It's their film production company. So a little bit of history about how people are paid in the film industry. So typically in the film industry, in major broad studios, the actors get paid a salary and everyone else gets paid, a salary. And then some of the lead people, some lead actors, and some producers get a percentage of the back end. That has not been the model for streaming. In streaming, everyone just gets paid their salary or their hourly wage. Now, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon have a new film on Netflix called The Rip, and they are requiring Netflix to pay a back end, essentially royalties, to all of the crew, not just the stars, not just the producers, but all of the crew. So definitely pioneering for streamers, definitely pioneering for Netflix, and even beyond that for the industry, because the whole crew is getting a bonus, not just the stars. All right, the next story is from Volvo, which is unveiling a new font called Volvo Centum, which is a custom typeface for the displays in a car, and the typeface makes in-car text easier to read at a glance. So it's engineered to reduce visual noise, helping drivers scan dashboards and infotainment faster. So it's a safety tool created through a font, which is amazing. And it's not just about disability, it's about inclusion and safety for everyone, which is exactly how things should be designed from the ground up. All right, and the last story this week comes from the video game Minecraft, which this is not news, apparently. Apparently, this story is about 5.5 years old. But the Reporters Without Borders group built the uncensored library inside of Minecraft. So it took hundreds of hours for these couple dozen builders, Minecrafters, coders, I don't know the lingo, to create the library inside of Minecraft, so folks who are getting censored can actually get their news, get books inside this digital library. So it's super cool. It's about press freedom. It's about saying screw you about censored journalism and giving everyone access to this important stuff. So lots of good vibes this week, but let's move into this week's good vibe to go. All right, it is Girl Scout cookie time, which means it's time to buy Girl Scout cookies from trans kids. And you can check out the list of trans kids who are selling their cookies on this website from Aaron in the Morning. So check those out, buy yourself some cookies, and help all kids get their Girl Scout cookie needs met, sold, and get your cookie fix. All right. Thanks, folks. If you don't already get the 5 Things newsletter, you can subscribe at 5thingsdei.com. Have a great week. Thanks for listening to 5 Things, Good Vibes in DEI. If today's stories gave you hope or sparked an idea, share this episode with a colleague or a friend. And if you want to spread more good vibes, leave a quick rating or review. It helps others find their proof of positive change.